I am a pro FIFA player and I'm going to give you my 5 tips on how to win more games in FIFA 23. Now, we're going to make a little checklist, have some guidelines to make this as clear as possible. So for every tip, I'm going to tell you the tip, I'm going to show you how to perform the tip, and then we're going to analyze and explain each one. Tip number 1 is through balls. They are in FIFA 23 the same way they were in FIFA 22 and FIFA 21. We just can't escape them. Particularly when I say through balls, I mean a certain type of through ball. We're going to call this the driven lobbed through ball. It is an absolute joke how well this works, and you need to learn it in your game. So how you perform it is pretty simple. It is literally just a through ball, which is triangle, and then holding L1 and R1 at the exact same time. There's actually a key element to through balls that isn't spoke about as much, but it's just as important as actually learning how to do them. And that is using the L1 button to trigger runs. So as we break down our first example, let me show you what I'm thinking as we do this. So I get the ball with Ginola, we're walking forward looking for a run, and I use the L1 button to trigger Mbappe. So what this does is mean Mbappe starts running towards goal and makes a run in behind. The next stage is about timing. It is all about, can I time the through ball just at the right time so I'm still onside, but I'm also in behind straight away. We can see here, as I perform the through ball, I'm using L1, R1 triangle, goes over the top to Mbappe, and he's in on goal, finishes it off nicely. But I'm telling you, this wouldn't be possible without the L1 trigger at the start, because otherwise the players don't run. The AI is so stupid these days that you have to be using L1 to be triggering runs at all times, because otherwise the players just will not move the way you want them to. Now, example 2 is where we're going to add another layer to these through balls, and it's the first time through ball. These are so effective. So when I have the ball with Ginola, I trigger Perisic and Mbappe, because obviously, as we said in example 1, you want them to run in behind. And instead of going directly to Mbappe, I actually go to Perisic first. The reason for this is that he then gets distracted and starts looking at Perisic, and he's forgotten about the run of Mbappe in behind. As he's pulled that player to Perisic, he's not really marking the run. I play that through ball first time to Mbappe, go in on goal. The reason this second example is so important is because the first time through ball actually adds another element, and it is so broken as well. For some reason, when you hit it first time, it seems to be even more accurate and powerful than hitting them anyway. So if you can add these in as a first time through ball, not just any through ball, your game will be even better, I promise you. To summarize, is L1, R1 triangle. You need to be tapping L1 before to get runs in behind. And for the through ball to be most effective, try and do them first time. Tip number 2 is long shots. 1 is the Trivela, and 1 is the power shot. So to perform the Trivela is pretty simple. It's just when you're shooting, hold L2 as well as pressing circle. And then for the power shot, it's a little bit more complicated. It's L1 and R1 and then circle as you shoot. Now let's look at the Trivela shot first. This is definitely the most broken shot in FIFA 23. You've probably seen 100,000 goals like this going in. I see it all over my TikTok, all in my FUT Champs, wherever I am, I see a Trivela shot. So let me show you the angle to do it at. We've got a shot with Ginola here, obviously drawing 0-0, struggling to break through. And when I get the ball with Ginola there, that is the perfect angle. When you're facing that kind of way, it's not best to do it when you're facing flat to the goal. You want to be at an angle coming in from out wide. So you see where we did it with Ginola there, that is the perfect kind of range. And you're probably watching this thinking, yeah, Tom, like, you've got a really good team, so obviously you can just shoot from anywhere. But I promise you, these Trivelas work with anyone. I think I saw a TikTok where someone was doing it where they take down the shot every time, and it was still going in, even with people like 40 shooting. So no matter what players you've got, the Trivela will work. We'll watch this one with Ginola as well. You can see what angle I'm at again. It's like that cash money spot on the right side of the pitch. It's basically, so if it's a right footer on the right side, so he can do the outside the foot shot, then it's got to be a left footer on the left side, so he could do an outside the foot shot. You watch with Ginola here. I just ball roll to get it onto his strong foot. I'm holding L2 as I shoot, and it just flies in every single time. The only thing is, just don't sprint before you do it. So kind of let go of the sprint button just before. Make sure it's on the player's strong foot. So if it's the right side there, left side on the other side, and then just hit that Trivela. I promise you it will go in so many times. And let's talk about the second kind of long shot, which is the power shot. This is a bit different to the Trivela for 2 reasons. 1, the angle you're shooting at, because you're now going to be straight in front of the goal. That's the best time to do it. And 2, it's actually manually shooting, so it will be hard to get used to, and you're definitely not going to master this within the first couple of shots. We can see here, though, when I get the ball with Perisic, I'm facing the goal, and I found a little bit of space. This is always good, because a power shot takes a little while to power up. It's only ever good when you've got a bit of space to go into. And when you're facing straight on, that's normally best to aim, because if you do it from a diagonal angle, it's really, really hard to aim it on target, and the Trivella's just more effective anyway. So there is one other place to use the power shot that I find pretty effective, and it's like when you're running into space one-on-one. So you see me with R9 here, I've got defenders on my back, and I know they're going to catch me up. But I realise if I can perform the power shot before they get there, the keeper's going to have no chance, because he doesn't have time to rush out as well. We know rushing out goalkeepers this year is really, really effective. Power shot is a good way to combat that. So see with R9, I power up that shot very, very early. Defenders can't catch me, and just use the manual shooting, it flies in. And yeah, that's the main thing about the power shot, really. You have to just have quite a bit of space around you, because it does take 1 or 2 seconds to actually get to the shot. It gives them such a big animation, it takes a while to do. Let's summarize the long shots. We've got the Trivella and the power shot. Trivella is L2, power shot L1, R1 circle. Trivella is best to do off the right and left side, and the power shot is the one to do in the middle of the pitch. And if there's any additional questions, fire them in the comments. Whilst you're here, make sure you drop a sub as well. I'm trying to get all of you better at FIFA, so why would you not? Tip number 3 is to use R1 dribbling. I'm pretty sure this is known as strafe dribbling, but feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. And it does what it says on the tin. All it is left stick dribbling, but then holding R1 at the same time. Where this is most effectively used is in the final third. When you're trying to create that half a yard of space, you're looking for a pass your striker, use the R1 dribbling, because we all know left stick dribbling has been pounded into the ground. It is no more. It's been absolutely destroyed. I don't know why, but EA chose to do it. And R1 dribbling is here to save the day. So we look at this 2v2 example. Me and Spenny Boy playing in 2v2 tournament. We're 1-0 down. And when you can see, he's got the ball with Zidane. He's trying to find that pass into the 2 strikers, but we can't find a way through. Now what he does, he uses a bit of R1 dribbling, and you can see with Zidane, it just creates that half a yard of space. That half a yard of space allows him to pass it into me as a striker. Obviously, as the team carrier, I do all the skills, work out a pass, and all he has to do is tap it in. But that all started from that R1 dribbling at the start. Unfortunately, the wink doesn't come as a bonus. But we'll have a look at these examples with Perisic as well when I'm playing 1v1. It's the same thing. I've got the ball with the centre mids, and I can't get round his centre mid to pass it into my striker. A little bit of R1 dribbling opens up the space perfectly, and then you can find it, play it to your striker, and freestyle from there. It's also effective out wide as well. It's the same game now. We're going back to 2v2, and it's actually the match winner from the same game. And Spen has it out with Cafu on the right, and he's a little bit trapped. He can't really work a way in, and he can't left stick around anymore because EA said no. So he uses the R1 dribbling with Cafu, brings it back inside into the box. Takes some time. We managed to work the ball in nicely. Again, I feed Spen, we score, and the game is won. A quick run over of the R1 dribbling. Very easy to do. You're just left stick dribbling, but then holding R1. It's best used in the attacking third, and we're using it to create space for the next pass. So either whether that comes out wide or whether that comes in the middle, we're using it as a create space kind of tool. Tip number 4, the second man press. How we do the second man press is pretty simple. When defending, just hold R1. But that needs to come with a disclaimer. Please do not just hold R1 the whole time. You have to do it methodically. You have to think about when you're doing it. And this one is a little bit more complicated, so make sure you're listening. Basically, what the second man press does is presses your opponent with a CPU whilst you're controlling someone else. So the best way of me doing this is showing an example. We can see my opponent is building up on the right wing, and he's starting to look dangerous. He triggers a through ball. Now, if I mark the through ball and I don't use second man press, he's going to have a load of space on the ball. He's going to be able to freestyle, do whatever he wants, and carry on. But now that I can use a second man press, I mark the through ball myself, then I'm also able to put pressure on the ball at the same time. Now what that makes him do is actually just pass backwards, because he's run out of options. I've stopped all the dangerous options, and I've halted his attack as a result. I'm going to show you another example of my boy Olli Lito from Sweden, another pro player. What he does here is actually very, very clever. So his opponent, Carl Walker, has the ball, and he stops all of his options inside by second man pressing. So he grabs an inside player and then second man presses with his winger. So the guy now can't go inside. He's got no pass inside. There's only one thing for him to do. He attempts to go down the line. What he does is he stops second man pressing, goes back to normal pressing, and manages to win the ball because he's put him into this little tunnel. The guy can't get out. But that only comes from the second man press, because if he didn't second man press, he'd just be able to walk on the ball. He'd have all the time in the world. And if he went to press manually, he'd just pass to the next player. But what this second man press does means that you kind of have 2 people now pressing at the same time. And just to reiterate the point, I'm going to show you one more time. Basically, the way of using this second man press is to mark the next pass whilst also putting pressure on the ball at the minute. He knows that a through ball is about to come here, so he switches onto his centre-back and then keeps pressing with the left-back. And what he manages to do is stop the through ball as a result. The main thing I'd recommend is to have the next player switch indicator on when you do this, because otherwise, if you don't have it on, you don't know who's going to be the one to second man press. So when you hold R1, it could be anyone. But with the next player switch indicator, you will be able to see who's going to second man press as you hold it. And the main takeaways I want you to take away from second man press is, obviously, you're holding R1 to do it. Do not do it all the time. If you just hold R1 the whole time, your players are going to be massively pulled out of position. Use it when you want to manually mark the next pass and also put pressure on the ball. So if you're waiting to intercept, use the second man press to put pressure on the ball, and then you can intercept yourself. And have the next player switch indicator on. Trust me, it will be very, very helpful for you. Tip number 5 is to use skill moves. I'm telling you, skill moves are so effective at every level. So if you can take the time to learn some, your game is going to go up so much more. I can't teach you how to do every single skill move right in this moment, so there's no showing for this one. But I want to show you some examples and show you where you can use them. And what I would recommend is to go and watch my skill moves tutorial, because that's got the best 5 in the game. So every skill move you need is in that video. But for this video, I want to show you where to use them and how to make them effective as well. Because when I say use skill moves, I don't just mean use 3, 4, 5 skill moves all at once, because skill chaining is not really that good. The way to use them is kind of use one, maybe wait, and then use another, do a bit of left stick dribbling. I think people get confused when they hear skill moves, that they just need to smash their right stick in and do 6 at a time. But sometimes it can be as simple as doing one. Let's have a look at how I create space for Mbappe here. So I've got the ball in a pro game and I'm on the edge of the box. Right now, there's not too many options. I've only got Mbappe in R9, trying to find some space. Now, this is where my first tip comes in, is to not sprint when doing skill moves. You need to be as slow as possible when performing these. Don't do them on a sprint. As you start the skill move, you want to be walking or at a dead stop, because that will mean the skill move will be more effective. So I'm with Mbappe, do a few step overs. That's the first one, create a bit of space. I then stop because I know I want to do another skill. Reverse elastico, extra touch around my man, and then a shot across goal, and we've scored. So when I pick the ball up with Mbappe, not much could happen there. And you could say, oh, he's got no options, he's not going to score. But literally just 2 skill moves later, managed to create the space and score the goal. Let's take another look with this Ginola clip. So I have the ball here. The AI is being stupid once again. R9 and Mbappe not really showing options. And all I do is come to a stop, because now he has to guess what I'm doing next. I bring an elastico inside this time because I know that I want to pass to R9. But I know if I just sit there and wait, he's going to mark the pass to R9. So that skill move makes him move. He blinks first. You can see with Van Dijk, he's not quite certain of what I'm doing there. He ends up doing the cha-cha slide instead. I get the ball with R9, take a touch up, and it's a goal. But that's why the skill move is so important, because if I just stand still there, or if I just try and X-pass, the space isn't going to open up. For skill moves, let's summarize. You use them in the final third of the pitch. Try and use them when you're walking or at a complete dead stop. Use them as a way to become unpredictable. And then make sure you watch my skill moves tutorial, because you've got everything you need on that video. And that's what I've got for you today, people. 5 of the best pro tips that I can offer you to win more games in FIFA 23. I hope it has been a massive help. If it has, make sure you leave a like and also comment. Tell me what ones you found useful. Tell me if there's anything else I've missed out. And thank you for watching. Goodbye.